New year, no quarterback. Cam Ward is off to the NFL. KJ Jefferson is off to UCF. What the heck is Miami going to do?
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy New Year. I'm Alex Donno, your host. I'm a University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. We are live right now, so if you're watching us at 1:55 p.m. here, January 1st on Locked On Canes YouTube, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to the audio version, make sure you subscribe and rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So far, New Year's Day, it's been an absolute whirlwind. Guys, you know, I woke up this morning with a sense of pessimism about where Miami stood with Cam Ward, thinking that it was more than likely he was going to end up choosing the NFL draft. That's been the buzz for the last couple of days. That's supposedly what he told Florida State's staff yesterday, that he's going to the NFL draft. But, you know, it was reported into the morning that Miami still had some hope there. Cam Ward put any hopes you might have had to bed in the late morning today, a little bit before lunchtime. And it's a little bit ironic because there's been so much drama around this process and the rumor mill with Ward. When he actually declared to enter the NFL draft, he did it in literally a 5-minute video that he posted on his X account. Literally 5 minutes. Hey, this is Cam Ward. I'll be declaring for the NFL draft. Like, that was his whole announcement. So after, about a month of drama, like, he announced it in, I guess, the most succinct, drama-free way possible. And then it only got crazier from that point, guys, because from the moment that Cam Ward, who reportedly was down to the NFL versus the Miami Hurricanes, Florida State had basically bowed out. Other schools, including Auburn, were trying to make last-minute pitches, but he decided to go to the National Football League. And then immediately after Cam Ward opted for the NFL draft, reports start coming out that Miami is in contact with KJ Jefferson, the transfer from Arkansas, and also Malachi Nelson, the transfer from USC, who I had not seen linked to Miami at any point. KJ I had seen linked to Miami, not Malachi. And then minutes after Miami starts getting linked in reports to KJ Jefferson commits to UCF. So I'll tell you guys, honestly, to me, the bigger gut punch this morning, or early afternoon, I should say, when Cam Ward declared for the NFL, I had expected that might happen. I was bracing myself for that very likely happening, if not today, at some point in the next 24 hours, because that's what Pete Thamel from ESPN had been reporting this morning, that Cam Ward was within 24 hours from making a decision. My understanding was he was leaning more towards the NFL. I thought the bigger gut punch, and why I'm incredibly disappointed right now as someone who really wants Miami to find the best possible transfer quarterback for the 2024 season. If Miami was truly ready in terms of having backup options, because one of the things I had been thinking was over the past few weeks when, you were kind of being held hostage by Cam Ward, at least you have to know that behind the scenes, there's communication, there are backup options. And I'm not saying there aren't backup options. And obviously Miami needs to fully pivot in other directions now. But what disappointed me was, right after Miami misses out on Ward, Miami apparently is now trying to up the ante for KJ Jefferson. And then KJ Jefferson pops to UCF, right? So that's got to show you that if KJ Jefferson, no disrespect to UCF and Gus Malzahn, but if Miami was really keeping that option realistic in case they miss out on Ward, don't you think that, Miami would have a better shot to pivot to KJ Jefferson? It only takes him minutes after Ward declares for the NFL. KJ Jefferson declares he's transferring to UCF. And Miami really is now in a scramble. Okay. I want to, I feel like people are, and we're going to talk about Malachi Nelson in a second. And by the way, speaking of what's going on with Florida State. Now, Florida State's known for a little bit longer that they were out of the Cam Ward sweepstakes. Unfortunately for Miami, Ward was giving Miami a little bit hope up until the last couple of days. Florida State is known for a bit, probably closer to a week, that they weren't getting Cam Ward. And it looks like Florida State is going to close on DJ Uiagaleilei. So, the effect of this is, and I got to give credit to Florida State. Like, I wouldn't be that thrilled to have DJ coming in to be my quarterback for a year. They could do a lot worse, okay? But at least they had somebody on the back burner. Like, at least Florida State, when they figured out we're definitely not getting Cam Ward, they're able to, we presume, in the coming hours or the coming minutes, close the deal for DJ, because the crystal balls, Uiagaleilei to Florida State, have been coming in. And so, guys, again, this is a whiff. Okay. I can only sugarcoat it so much from a Miami standpoint. Like, maybe some of you guys in our chat and on social media are being maybe a little bit too hard on Mario here. Like, I'm sure if Mario knew for the past few weeks he's probably going to the NFL, the pivot would have happened a little bit more quickly away from Ward. I do believe that Ward strung Miami along here. It happens, right? You can only blame yourselves for that. If you allow yourselves to get strung along, you can only blame yourselves. But I do believe Miami thought they were in a good position with Cam Ward throughout most of this process. So they got strung along here, but it's definitely a miss, because you put maybe not all your eggs in his basket, but you put so many eggs into Cam Ward's basket. And then ultimately, he makes the decision he feels like is best for him. And the weird thing about this with Ward is this guy's not declaring to potentially be a first round or a second round draft pick. He's trying to fight to be maybe a third round pick, more likely to go third day, fourth or fifth round. So Cam Ward is taking a gamble on himself. Cam Ward has decided, and, the reports there were a lot of members of his family and his inner circle who really wanted him to play another year of college ball. And obviously, you can make a lot of money playing college ball now with name, image, and likeness, especially for quarterbacks. So he would have done very well, probably better financially playing one more year in college than whatever he's going to make as a rookie in the National Football League next year. So there were a lot of family members who thought, play another year of college, try to improve your draft stock for next year. But Ward, my understanding has been in recent days, he's really, really the one who wanted to take that gamble on himself. He obviously he's got an opportunity. Like, I've seen 5th round and 6th round draft grades for him. He's obviously got an opportunity, workouts, pro day, NFL scouting combine, interviews with coaching staffs. Like, he is going to work his butt off to try to improve his stock. But there is a very real possibility that Cam Ward is going to end up being drafted about where Brad Kaya was drafted in the 6th round when he left Miami a year early. So he chose that future over the future playing at Miami. And so, guys, I've got so much more to say about this situation. We get this message here from Nelson, who says, are we screwed? Honestly, Nelson, that's yet to be determined. I'm disappointed. I'm upset. I feel a little bit disillusioned with the way that this whole process went down. It's too soon to say you're screwed. And honestly, I'll reiterate this. The most disappointing thing for me today was not Cam Ward declaring for the NFL. The most disappointing thing for me today was how quickly KJ Jefferson officially commits to UCF after Miami allegedly pivoted to him as the next option, because that goes to show you the Hurricanes weren't really ready with a backup option. If you're not, and Will Howard, we'll bring Will Howard's name up as well, because obviously if you rewind about 3 weeks ago, Ward was option 1A. Will Howard allegedly was option 1B. So people are asking me, can Miami circle back now to Will Howard? Although he's not made it official yet, I believe we've also missed out on Howard. Howard, unless there's a real shocker or a last-minute snag, I believe Will Howard is going to be an Ohio State Buckeye. I think he's going to be Ohio State's next quarterback. So you can cross another one off the list. So if you cross all these names off the list, where does Miami turn next? Who might be the transfer portal quarterback that the Miami Hurricanes bring in. Oh, my friends, we have so much to talk about, so much to sort out on this new year. Make sure you're smashing that like button and subscribing to Locked On Canes. We continue the conversation here on a new episode of Locked On Canes. We're only getting started, my friends. And you know I'm only getting started with FanDuel. At least if I'm losing out on quarterbacks in the real world, at least I can be making money through FanDuel. The NFL regular season is wrapping up, as you know, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We have an exciting Week 18 coming up. The playoffs are coming up, which is going to be lit. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet at FanDuel. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays, which are a lot of fun. I've been doing that throughout bowl season. You can find bets in the new Explore tab, and you can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, which is the best way to find popular parlays, and there's so much more. So, guys, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Thank you so much for making this new year, same old Miami episode of Locked On Canes your first listen today. We are available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. And I do really appreciate you guys for, on a holiday, today, because New Year's Day is a holiday. The banks are closed, all that. Your offices may be closed. Your kids are home. I appreciate you guys making us your first listen. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And guys, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows that cover every league. So go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming YouTube channel. Okay, so a lot of people are throwing out Malachi Nelson from USC, which is very, very different profile from guys like Cam Ward and KJ Jefferson and Will Howard, who Miami's been going after. The Malachi Nelson thing is a bit of a head scratcher, right? Because, Miami during this whole transfer portal process has seemingly been looking for one-year bridge guys, right? You bring in someone with 4 years of starting experience to captain the ship in 2024, and then by 2025, you're ready to fully hand it off to Emory Williams or Jakari Brown or, who knows, even Judd Anderson, who's coming in as a true freshman this year. So you want that bridge quarterback so that you're not disrupting the younger quarterbacks in your room. Malachi Nelson doesn't fit that profile. This is a class of 2023 quarterback. So he's only got 1 year of collegiate experience and not really any collegiate experience because Malachi didn't really play for the USC Trojans. He just got into, I think, one game in, garbage time, relief time for Caleb Williams, attempted 3 passes, completed one of those for 0 yards. So this is basically a guy out of high school. And I bring up Malachi Nelson's name because reports from ESPN and On3 have linked Malachi Nelson as someone that Miami is reportedly interested in. And I emphasize the word reportedly because my guy, Gabby Urrutia from Inside the U, I've seen some of the writing he's done today. He's not convinced that Miami's actually interested in Malachi Nelson. But, if you were to bring in a guy like that, the situation would be, if Miami decides to go that route and if Malachi is actually interested in coming to Miami, the thinking would be, hey, this is a guy who's the same age as Emory Williams, but he's probably better than Emory Williams. He certainly was more highly touted coming out of high school. And that, this guy is, going to raise the floor and potentially the ceiling of our quarterback room. But it's a guy who would have to compete. He would have to compete with Emory. He would have to compete with Jakari. It's not a guy you bring in who's for sure a starter because he's accomplished absolutely zero so far at the college level. He is a former 5-star recruit in the class of 2023. So Malachi Nelson, his profile reminds you a little bit of Dante Moore. Miami, was reportedly interested in Dante Moore a couple of weeks ago, another 5-star quarterback in that same recruiting class, the class of 2023. Big difference was Dante Moore started a lot of games for UCLA last year. Malachi did not do that at USC. And then, speaking of Dante Moore, who's obviously no longer an option, I'll tell you who crushed it in the transfer portal with their quarterbacks. Like, in hindsight, you wish Miami had handled it this way. Oregon did not bleep around with their quarterback room. They knew they were losing Bo Nix, and within days of the transfer portal opening, not only did they get their, grad transfer leader, stopgap guy, Dylan Gabriel, but then they also got Dante Moore to develop for the future. So I thought Oregon crushed it with the way they handled their transfer portal. And Miami ultimately got played. The Hurricanes thought they had a legit good shot. And, I believe there was plenty of mutual interest between Miami and Cam Ward, but Cam ultimately decides, not only am I not playing for you, Mario Cristobal, I'm not playing for Mike Norvell or anybody. I'm just going to the NFL. Like that's what Cam Ward decided to do. And Miami gets left holding the bag. And an unfortunate thing about this whole situation is, after what happened last year around springtime, when Tyler Van Dyke was, reportedly being courted by Alabama, he ultimately decided to stay to Miami, but there was a whole saga there. Decided to stay at Miami, I should say. Yeah, I can remember Mario Cristobal saying a few weeks ago on the radio that, we're not going to let any player hold us hostage, he said. Well, I got news for you, man. Cam Ward, for the last 3 weeks, has been Hans Gruber, and he has turned Miami's football facilities into the Nakatomi building. That's been the situation we've been dealing with for the past few weeks. So a little bit more on Malachi Nelson. And again, if Miami brings in a guy like this, they're going in a completely different direction with what Cam Ward or KJ Jefferson would have been. No college experience, but talent through the roof. Very talented guy, former 5-star recruit in high school. Here's a little bit of Malachi Nelson, his scouting report that was written by Gabe Brooks of 24/7 Sports when Malachi was coming out of high school. Tall, lean, and long-armed with slender natural build, but framed to add some mass. Fluid mover in general, including arm motion and lower body mechanics. Range of motion and movement patterns, fosters excellent off-platform passing ability and general playmaking acumen. He alters his arm angles and delivers with accuracy. He's got vertical arm strength, immediate velocity, and touch to all fields speak to our elite arm talent. Perhaps the most natural thrower in an excellent 2023 quarterback group. He flashes the functional athleticism to extend plays outside the pocket. That's obviously something Miami would like to have, where finding a receiver is almost always the priority over tucking and running, he said. Now, another quarterback we've heard, a few reports and buzz about Miami possibly being interested in, and I would imagine they would have to up their interest in this player now, is Jayden de Laura, who's transferring out of Arizona. He's got one more year of eligibility left. De Laura, I think he had, going back to his high school days, some off-the-field legal troubles, I think, and I hope he's put all that behind him. Obviously, you have to vet anybody very carefully if you think about bringing them in. Jayden de Laura started his career at Washington State, played his last 2 seasons at Arizona. This past year, 2023, this season, it was shortened by injury. His best year at Arizona was in 2022. He threw for 3,685 yards, 25 touchdown passes to 13 interceptions. So the touchdown interception ratio has never been that great. He's thrown 63 touchdowns to 31 interceptions in his 4 years in college, but he's a talented player and he's obviously got a lot of experience. Okay. Somebody else I wonder if Miami circles back to, Jordan McCloud from James Madison, doesn't fit the hype, hasn't played in the SEC or the Pac-12 or anything like that, but he actually started his career in South Florida in USF at JMU this past year. Jordan McCloud completed 68% of his passes for 3,657 yards, 35 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. He also rushed for 276 yards and 8 touchdowns. And listen, I'm not bringing up McCloud for the first time. You guys can remember shows that I did a month ago about portal quarterbacks. I was bringing that dude up as somebody that I like. So hopefully options like this Miami can circle back to. And listen, here's the bottom line. Miami swung and missed on Cam Ward. There's no question about it. No matter the circumstances, this is one we're going to be regretting and we're going to be thinking about for a long time. And I can already tell you, when the draft rolls around in April, a lot of Miami fans will be wondering, where is Cam Ward going to end up getting taken? What round is he going to end up getting taken in? We're not going to soon forget about this, okay? We're going to be thinking about this Cam Ward saga for a very long time. Very disappointed that KJ Jefferson is also off the board, because I was fully ready as a show to pivot to KJ Jefferson. And even if Miami was ready to pivot to him as a staff, KJ Jefferson is committed to UCF. I'm going to withhold judgment on how big of a miss or a failure this was until I see how this situation plays out, because you've definitely missed out on 2, if not 3 of your top targets. We'll see if Will Howard fully goes in with Ohio State and commits there, or if Miami tries to make a late run there. But I need to see who Miami lands. And who knows? There could still be some quarterbacks who haven't decided to enter the transfer portal yet, who may still decide to do that. And no, I don't think Miami's bringing back Jake Garcia. No, I don't think Miami's calling Tyler Van Dyke to try to get him back down. And listen, I understand that you do have options within your own room. I don't want to neglect the guys that Miami has on the roster, right? Jakari Brown showed us definitely some improvement with the way he played in the Pinstripe Bowl, right? I thought that his accuracy, with the way he was completing some of the intermediate passes, the deep ball was accurate with Jakari. There's obviously still more improvement and work to do needed on his part and on the staff's part in developing him, but there's definitely something there with Jakari Brown. We saw Emory Williams, a very buttoned up game plan for him, but we saw Emory Williams beat Clemson and play a pretty competitive game against Florida State, help Miami stay in that game. So there obviously are options within your own room. Just the feeling is, if your expectations out there are next year, if you want Miami to try and compete for an ACC championship, or, try to improve from 7 wins to 10, 11 wins, I don't believe you're doing that. I don't believe you're making a jump like that with one of these younger quarterbacks within your room. I think if you're going to try to make a jump of 3 or 4 wins compared to last year, you really needed somebody like Cam Ward or Will Howard to help you do that. And here's the other part of it, guys. Even if, as a fan base, some of you guys decide, you know what, missed out on Ward, forget about it. Let's focus on developing Brown or Emory Williams. Even in that case, you still need to add another quarterback. Like, you may not be going out for someone who's going to cost you 7 figures in NIL like you just were with Cam Ward, but you still need to bring in somebody else, because the quarterback room is not deep enough, okay? And that's also something. It's fair to question the way Miami, not just under Mario Cristobal, but even under previous staffs, it's fair to question the way they've recruited in that quarterback room, because, obviously Jake Garcia did not turn into what you hoped he would. He didn't do well at Missouri either after he's back in the transfer portal now, Jake Garcia. But, there was just such a big gap in years from Tyler Van Dyke to the next guys on the roster. It just goes, Miami has not done a good enough job recruiting the quarterback position, okay? So you're now in this situation where your best option for next year is to bring in an experienced guy from the portal, because after Tyler Van Dyke, your next most experienced guy had like 5 career starts or 4 career starts, whatever it was, with Jakari Brown, or 2 career starts with Emory Williams. So Miami is in this situation. And obviously, when it comes to Cristobal and his staff, overall, you praise recruiting, right? They've done an incredible job in the trenches, offensive line last year, defensive line in this year's class, and so many other spots. Top 7 class, top 4 recruiting class. They've done a really good job there, but quarterback has been a spot where, unfortunately, things have not been up to par. I want to read a few more of you guys' messages and maybe give you some New Year's resolutions for Miami when we come back. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this new episode of Locked On Canes. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And guys, we've been monitoring this quarterback situation, transfer portal, everything going on. Even when I'm not doing the show, we continue the show on the Locked On Canes Insiders chat, you want to click the link in the show description below. You can sign up for our Locked On Canes Insiders. You get text messages directly from my phone to yours with breaking news, show updates, recruiting scoops, transfer portals. Been a lot of bad news recently, but we update you as soon as we can on that stuff. Click the link in the show description below and try Locked On Canes Insiders for free for 14 days. And then if you like it, you can opt in for $4.99 a month. We give you a lot of added value on there on Locked On Canes Insiders. So, yeah, and Matthew, you're right about that. The speculation about Will Howard is that he's going to go to Ohio State. It seems like that's virtually done. Consistently, though, the reporting about transfer portal quarterbacks, not just with Cam Ward in Miami, the reporting on this has been very iffy because about 2 weeks ago, Will Howard was getting crystal balled left and right to USC, and now it seems like Ohio State. I expect that to happen, but, we'll see. FTW is talking about Evan Stewart. Unfortunately, Miami's not going to be landing receivers like that in the portal until they find a quarterback. A guy like Cam Ward would have really helped with that. I love how we got the Florida State troll, Louis T. Louis is in there laughing it up. Louis, Georgia just scored 3 more touchdowns, bro. Like, you're in here laughing it up. You guys just suffered the literal worst loss in the history of bowl season. They've been playing bowl games for like 100 years, brother. And your team just got beat by 60. And he's in here talking trash. Enjoy DJ Uiagaleilei next year, buddy. Oh, man. Jeffrey says, Jeffrey and Dawn, Judd Anderson will break records at Miami. Screenshot this. You guys know I love Judd. And again, like, there's 2 different conversations to be had. I'm talking about the 2024 quarterback situation, right? Judd Anderson, he's going to be a true freshman this coming year. His time will come. Like, his time will hopefully come. The guy is 6'7". He's got a great arm. He's got surprising athleticism for a guy that size. Judd is not going to lead you to the promised land in 2024. And yeah, Reek Flair, we were talking about the James Madison quarterback, Jordan McCloud. I hope that that's someone Miami circles back to. I like him a lot. That dude says, dang, Donno, that was cold. I mean, listen, I can't tolerate any slander right now from Florida State fans after what they just suffered a couple days ago. It's like, mind your own business, you guys. Go watch Locked On Seminoles. What are you doing here in Locked On Canes? 63-3. That hurts, man. I know Louis lives in mom's basement there in Tallahassee. He's got the gut box right now. He's got the Guthrie's box of chicken tenders. He's stuffing his face with blue cheese while he's watching Locked On Canes. But why don't you watch the replay of that Orange Bowl, man? Ice says we're dead in the water. Oh, man. And another thing, guys, I had planned to do today. I want to do this tomorrow with the Truth Teller because Bruce Warner's going to join us tomorrow on a Truth Teller Tuesday. I'm going to pretend to be Mario Cristobal. I'm going to have my loafers on tomorrow, and I'm going to give you my New Year's resolutions. Mario Cristobal's New Year's resolutions for Canes football in 2024. I want to give you mine as Mario tomorrow. I'm sure the Truth Teller, Bruce Warner, who, by the way, I've been texting with the Truth Teller. He might be in a therapy session right now. He is melting down. Like, when he found out that Ward declared for the NFL draft, he lost it. Then I told him I broke the news to him that KJ Jefferson committed to UCF. And I think Bruce checked into a rehab facility at that moment. He's like, I need some professional help right now. Oh, Katie chiming in. I don't know. I think Lane Kiffin is feeling okay where he is right now. I do think that maybe we need some time management seminars to happen in our facility this year. Cliff D says 6 and 7 next year. Cliff, I still think Miami can do at least one game better than they did this year. I think we could win 8 games, but obviously getting a portal quarterback would really help with that. All right, my friends, thank you so much for making this episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch of the year. Happy 2024 out there. I hope you guys had an awesome New Year's Eve before you woke up this morning and got kicked in the groin on New Year's Day with all this quarterback madness. But I still believe in what Mario and his staff are building down here. And also, as disappointed as I am right now with these quarterback developments, I still need to see how this plays out before I condemn the staff. I still need to see who Miami gets and where the dust settles before I condemn the staff on this one. We obviously swung and missed on Cam Ward. It happens. We move on. Hopefully we learn from it. Thank you, by the way, John. Oh, the haters are in full force today as well. I see it's not only the Miami fans who are watching, it's also the Miami haters. We will talk to everyone tomorrow on a Truth Teller Tuesday, another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.